Hi everyone, welcome back to The Grind. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is basically a weekly show where a bunch of friends get together to talk about the message that we heard this past weekend. And this past weekend, we just wrapped up our message series on undeserved suffering, where we've been looking through the life of Job. And basically, we see how the Lord restored everything in Job's life.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, literally. So he went from, again, tremendous loss to tremendous wealth. And I think it's been definitely quite a journey that Job has been.
Yeah.
And I think all of us here probably has gotten something out of this series. And also for you who are joining us today, if you have been watching our message series as well. Now, let's get into talking about the message. But first off, let's talk about how, we hear about, God ultimately God restores, right? That's basically the key thing that we've been hearing about. But obviously, when you restore, something needs to be lost, right? Because it's
unfortunately, yes, that's how things
so.
work.
In your own context, how do you handle loss? Maybe you can share about something that you've lost, the process, how did you get over it, or whatever.
I think if it's about loss of maybe like, let's say, a loved one or something we care about, I just let time heal it, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, just
yeah. Time heals all things,
yeah.
right?
If we hold on
Together.
That's all you guys.
Yo, Land Before Time.
It's a long time ago.
One of the best cartoons
Land
ever.
Before Time, bro. Come on.
I know, it was a long time ago though.
Littlefoot, Mama.
Oh, I mean, yeah, the most of the.
I just going off your earphone story. I just remember how, so I got like a pair of AirPods, right? And then, so at what used to exist, Fitness First, you could get clothes from them. Like you don't have to like bring your own clothes. They lend you clothes and then you can just return it. So as per normal, I have my earphones in, I'm working out, and then I, given my clothes. And when the next day when I'm, repeating process, like working out, I flip open my AirPod case and I'm like, my AirPods are gone. And I was like, oh no, when was the last time? Oh, the last time was
Did you try calling it?
in my pocket in the gym. Did I try calling my AirPods? No.
Tried calling your AirPods?
No.
Like people would say, did you try calling your phone?
Okay, all right, his joke.
Who told you were a bunny?
Anyways, couldn't find my AirPods. Asked the gym people to help me out to look if there's nothing. But what was cool was, a couple of months later, I got gifted a pair of earphones, which were much better than the AirPods in terms of sound quality. So
Win-win.
win-win. Both were given to me, or the AirPods was because I bought my iPhone, free. But then also the earphones were free. So yay. God.
But have you guys experienced where you lost something and then you bought a new one and then the one you lost, you found it?
Double
Yeah.
prizes.
Yeah. Yes, that's definitely
Restoration.
happened. It's restoration or frustration, I don't know. But that's definitely happened. Can't tell you what exactly, but it's definitely happened.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off something slightly different. I remember losing a cup final, actually playing in it.
Oh, I was like the
No, playing
Oh.
and losing in a cup final.
Oh.
And that was a terrible, terrible, terrible feeling. Because it was a close game, we only lost by 1.
Oh, that's the worst.
that's
You
the
had an
worst.
opportunity, right?
Well,
Yeah.
that's a different kind of loss. I like where you're going with this, Nathan. But also, sorry for your loss.
And bear in mind, it's a school's final, so we're playing in Happy Valley, those dirt pitches, no one's watching. 6 months later, we get to another cup final, but this time it's at Hong Kong Stadium, bigger, against the same team,
Oh, and
and we beat them 1-0.
Yo!
Yo! Yo! Yo! Yo! Yo! Say it from right here with some soul. Yo!
Yo!
Yeah, so
The
we
feel.
went from losing
Congratulations, bro.
one final to winning probably a bigger one in the same year. So yeah,
Yo.
that was fun. I'm not gonna lie.
that is fun. Wow.
Restoration
Restoration.
of trophies.
Redemption. Woo!
In Hong Kong Stadium.
In Hong Kong Stadium. Wow. So Okay, well, the Lord restored to us differently, and I love that story that you shared. And like I said, in Job's life, ultimately, the Lord restored. And we actually see at the beginning of Job chapter 1, right, verse 21, I believe, with the whole the Lord gives and take away. So as we've been going through the series, how has your view on this verse evolved?
That nothing is permanent. Everything comes from God. And I think Job probably learned that the hard way, harder than most.
Yeah.
Because he had so much to lose.
Yeah.
But then ultimately at the end, when everything is restored to him, it's restored to him by God.
Right.
Amen.
So everything he has comes from God, and he has nothing without him, I guess.
I think for me, it's just the area of the area where I lost my train of thought.
Hey, we'll come back. It has been given away, and it will be taken
It
back.
was given like a 5-second, and then it was taken away.
And it's back.
I think
It's back.
I think it's back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's just in the area of when you talk about permanence, everything we have is not permanent, but God is permanent. I think putting this into perspective, the Lord taketh away and give it back. But you have to remember that among this passage, there's only one that's permanent, and that is God. And I think if you put your perspective on whether I lose the things that I have, though it's gonna be a difficult situation, of course, definitely. And I can't imagine how will that be.
Yeah.
But knowing that there is someone who's permanent in me, that's something that I can kind of put my faith and trust in. So
Yeah, because when
Thanks,
you're
man.
on the side of the place where you haven't suffered, right? So yes, it's easy to say
Yeah.
the Lord gives and the Lord
Yeah.
takes away. Blessed
Yeah.
be the name of the Lord, right? I mean, I think I mentioned this before about singing the song "Blessed Be the Name." Again, upbeat song, but when you are really suffering, that is one of the hardest songs to sing. I remember being in a situation where I can't sing the song right now because there's definitely nothing to bless the Lord right now because life sucks. But I think, with Job going through everything and actually changing his perspective and seeing things from God's perspective, it's so much easier to say, because like you said, everything that we own is God. So everything that we have belongs to God.
Yep.
So, who are we to question God? Who are you to be like, why God? Why are you doing this? But to be in a position where we can hear God speak and seek his wisdom and know that at the end of the day, the Lord restores.
Amen.
Right? So, because oftentimes when it comes to suffering, especially the verse, the Lord gives and take away, in suffering, we always focus on take away, right? We don't focus on the giving, whereas they're both given equal weight in that verse, give and take away.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we just need to be in the middle. It's yes, the Lord gives. Yes, the Lord gives away. But what do we choose to do? We choose to bless his name. So I think that's just a good place to be at, to understand who God is and see things from his perspective. So in the midst of Job being restored everything, we see that one of the things that leads to restoration is forgiveness. Now, do you guys have a time where you had to forgive someone, and how was that like?
Not that I can think of.
Rico is peacemaker. Everyone, all is well.
No, it's not
Everybody
that.
loves Rico.
Everybody leaves.
No, it's not
Rico.
about that. It's just either I forgot about it.
Oh.
I have really short-term memory. So
There's actually someone with a list of enemies. Rico's top of the list because you forgot me.
oh my gosh. Maybe in someone's list.
Maybe.
But then but there are circumstances, I think, like the minor ones that are sort of easier to forgive.
Sure,
I've had those situations, and it feels like there is sort of that at ease that you've already sort of settled whatever that situation is with that person, and your relationship is restored. So I think that's one thing. So even for this passage, I would say God has used the sacrificial offering for Job to ask God for their forgiveness is a way of restoring that friendship that he had with those people.
Oh, so you're talking about Job's enemies? Or friends? Friends.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Do you call your friends like this?
Yeah.
I mean, that's Job's friends.
She doesn't have
right?
friends. She she's got friends.
Yeah, she got friends.
You are wise. If not, I wouldn't be friends with you guys.
Wow.
Wow, thanks. It's great to know that this friendship is conditional.
Yeah.
You heard it
She
here
has her
first.
terms and conditions. Are you wise? No, you're not my friend. You got a friend.
That's really creepy.
So creepy.
really creepy.
Yeah, Rico's a friend right now. Like, because I think, you know, with forgiveness, right? I mean, there are definitely obviously people that wronged me, and I think I'm the kind of person that doesn't take offense easily or hold on to a grudge. But sometimes I forget that, you know, about how this person has offended me, or not forget, I guess. I forgive the person, and I forget that I forgive that person, in a sense where when the person's name comes out in a conversation, I have no problem talking trash about them sometimes. You know, so it's like,
Is that your way of forgiving them though?
it's like getting out of my system. So is that truly forgiving if I can't stop talking about the bad things that they've done? Maybe not, because I can't seem to let it go. But
Right.
I
That's
think,
true.
you know, actually in terms of forgiveness and I would say even, I don't know, it's myself, you know, being in a position to forgive myself. And I think sometimes I kind of beat myself down and kind of, you know, hold myself like just like to a standard that I feel like I failed and whatever. And I think when I choose to let that go, choose to, in a way, forgive myself, you know, like, Pet, it's okay. You've messed up, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I think that also allows a restoration to happen in my life as well, because I'm not caught up in just my own guilt and my own shame, but I allow the love of Jesus to enter into my life.
Forgiveness, I don't think, is a one and done event where you just go, I forgive you, as a sweeping statement, and then everything is all done. Because, like Pet just said, if someone brings up the person, you can get triggered and just like, you know, talk trash, or, you know, feel like inside that you've not forgiven them, even though you may have said the words out loud. So I think in terms of like your mind and heart, it is a process that you have to choose to do, and it takes time. Yeah, so maybe there's truth to the fact that, or to the saying that time heals all wounds, because the further you go from an incident, maybe it's
Like you forget about it.
yeah, or it's
becomes
easier to look at.
it just becomes a memory, a story. You know, I mean, I know, like you mentioned, like forgiveness is not, it's a process, and, you know, one and done thing. And I think, you know, for us, we're humans, we struggle, we fail. But I think I guess the beautiful thing is with Jesus, it wasn't like I forgive you, but why did you do this? You know, when he thinks about us, I think, you know, he forgives us, and when he thinks about us, he thinks about us in love. And I think knowing that we have a God like this is reassuring, that yes, even though we fail, God's not like, why you do this? You know, he, you know, looks at us with like love and joy. And so, yeah, we see that in Job's life, it was restored, you know, in the midst of his suffering. And, you know, like you said, time heals all wounds, right? And obviously when we suffer, we're gonna face some sort of pain, some sort of scarring, and, you know, some painful memories that, as much as, you know, we don't want to, sometimes we repress it. And then maybe something that is mentioned is triggered, but that's part of our story and makes us who we are.
That is true.
So actually, then you come to Job, right? I mean, he's lost like 10 kids. And we see that everything was given to him like twice fold, right? His like cattle and everything. But the question is, why did God not give Job 20 more children?
Because children aren't objects, they're human beings, and they can't be replaced, I'm assuming.
Can I say this also?
Yes.
I guess the Lord doesn't want Job's wife to suffer.
Or that.
I mean, like, can you imagine how many, like, 20 children? It's a lot.
I mean, I think I know of like uncles and aunties, I mean, not related to me, but has given birth to 20 kids. I mean, the Malaysian moms back in the day, my grandma gave birth to like 9 kids. She's halfway there.
Wow, good luck.
So,
You can do it, Mom.
you can do it, Mom. But yeah, you're right. Children cannot be replaced, right?
Yeah.
I've heard of stories where people miscarried, and, you know, I've got, you know, known people who miscarried, and they will always remember like the kid that they lost, right? Yes, they have a new kid, and it's like exciting, and, you know, they're so joyful that they're there. But no one can replace that kid that they lost.
Yes.
And-
yeah, that's very true.
And I think in that experience, you learn and you grow, and it forms who you are. And I think when you experience God's goodness, it becomes also a testimony to encourage and to to encourage and be a blessing to people. I think it becomes part of your life, and I think you just need to learn how to treasure that thing.
And also, I think if you look at it in the aspect of blessing, in comparison to the rest of the possession that Job has, when you have more cattle or more cows or more goats, that's a way of you being told that, you are being blessed with more wealth. But then when it comes to children, having one is a blessing already.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really talk about quantity, but more of like having gifted a life is already a blessing. So
And
Spoken like a dad.
spoken like a dad. And again, if you see in Job chapter 42, basically says, Job lived on sea like son's generations, his son's generations, and
140 years.
40 years. A man lived, and he lived long, long and full of
Days.
Full of days. Yeah, that was the phrase. It basically ended on a very poetic note.
Yeah.
And so I guess my last question is this. There are some things that we cannot be replaced. How do you navigate it, navigate through it, or live with it?
I think it's the same as time heals all wounds, or like time is probably like the only way for you to be able to get by with those things that you've lost. Yeah, you cannot restore people that you love that has passed, but then the only thing that you would have about them is the memories that you have with them. So I think just being able to understand the fact that we have to live by that, knowing that not everything is gonna come back, and just live your life, I guess. I don't know where I'm going, but
Yeah, I had flashes of like what you would say to someone who's lost something permanent.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss.
What can you say? What can you do in that situation except sit and grieve? And I think that's what happened when I lost my nan, was that I did all the funeral stuff, like as I was expected to, but I didn't actually grieve until I was by myself. So that's probably how I would deal with it, is in private and with God. And then afterwards turn over, because there's always tomorrow, and then a bunch of other tomorrows, and then eventually the pain goes, and then
I think something I've also been learning throughout the series is, like Job expresses emotional turmoil to God. He didn't just like sweep it under the carpet, put his emotions in a box and like throw it away, but he'd be like, "But why, God?" And that's been also teaching me as well that sometimes, I have been in the habit of like, it's okay, God will heal, it's fine, put it, whatever, then just like put it aside. But I never really engage or put labels to my emotions that actually I feel sad, actually I feel angry, yes, I feel grief. And there's something that I started using, it's called the feelings wheel, to kind of just like put a label to your emotion, and then understanding that, I think kind of in a way forcing myself to like recognize how I feel, and then when I recognize how I feel, to release that to God, like, okay, God, I feel frustrated right now. Help me out. And then just trusting Him to help me navigate through it. And I think also it really helps to process all of it when, again, you have a kingdom group, when you have a community to really walk with you and be like, hey, pet, it's going to be okay. Or hey, pet, you can do better. Or hey, pet, let's just go out and just drown your sorrows. Anyway, so yeah, I think all of us here have Job seasons in our lives. Some maybe is still going on. Some, you're in a process where the Lord has restored and the Lord has, brought healing. But just remember, as we heard, the Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Just to recognize that at the end of the day, we have a good God, a God who restores.
Amen.
And when you surrender to Him and let Him do His will in your life, I guarantee you it will set you up in a good place.
Amen.
Just continue to trust in Him, wrestle with the emotions. Your emotions are real. Don't sweep under the carpet like I do sometimes, but recognize that God hears all things.
Amen.
So Yep. Thanks for joining us. Next weekend, we start a new series, and it's called Something in the Water. And we're going to be looking at the significance of different waters in the Bible. It's going to be good. Hope to see you at one of our services. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.